Burton's version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory follows the whimsical adventure of Charlie as he explores Willy Wonka's factory. Charlie's adventure through the factory introduces newfound wonders like an everlasting gobstopper, as well as a whole new race of people, the umpalumpas. The umpalumpas are a constant fixture in the factory, but when Mr. Wonka explains how they came to work in his factory, a darker truth emerges. Willy Wonka found them in their native land and offered them the payment of cocoa beans to come and live and work in his factory. He used the danger they faced in their homeland to lure them to his factory and pay them non-monetary wages.
Umpalumpas.
Imported, direct from Loompa Land.
The food they longed for the most was the cocoa bean.
The cocoa bean happens to be the thing from which chocolate is made, so I told the chief.
While the fictional Oompa Loompas sing and perform in the factory, they actually represent the very real and dark truth of labor trafficking. Labor trafficking for migrant workers runs rampant around the world today, and one of the most glaring places is in China. China has over 300 million internal migrant workers who are lured from their homes with promises of better work, just like the Oompa Loompa. While the Oompa Loompas seem happy and playful, that's far from the reality of real migrant workers. Of the 300 million internal migrant workers in China, it is estimated that only 5% receive their full pay. The retention of pay is not the only violation these workers suffer. Their movement is restricted through the retention of documents and identity. They suffer abusive working conditions, work unfair hours, are isolated from local communities, and are physically and mentally abused, as summarized by this labor rights expert.
According to the head of the International Trade Union Confederation, migrant workers are subject to a labour system that enables trafficking and forced labour.
They've refused to give workers a voice, a collective voice, freedom of association, fundamental human right. They've refused to end the kafala system where you are effectively owned by another human being, lock, stock and barrel. Your contract signed, you're forced to live in squalor by the employer, you actually can be paid or not paid, and there's really no recourse to justice.
Not only are migrants abused in their work, but frequently they are forced into doing jobs they were not hired for and essentially becoming slaves to the will of their employer. This is represented in the film by the Oompa Loompas doing the gambit of work, from harvesting fudge off of a dangerous and snowy mountain to cutting their boss's hair, or even being his therapist. Because of the isolation and discrimination migrant workers face, they are often taken advantage of and have their human rights routinely violated. However, this practice must change because migrant workers deserve the same rights to movement, livable wages, and protection that are entitled to all humans.